welcome back to my channel. I am Anushka, and in this video I'm sharing with you all 10 amazing books from one of my favorite genres, and that is fantasy. Now this is a much requested video on this channel, and I've carefully compiled all the books which are apt for beginners. I mean, fantasy is one genre which provides real escapism. You get this delightful feeling that everything under the sun is possible. There's nothing known as unrealistic expectations on. Now, before I share all the recommendations, let me quickly tell you how I've categorized this video because it is important. We have two subgenres in fantasy, urban fantasy and high fantasy. Now, urban fantasy is a mixture where you'll find elements from this world as well, be it the name of the countries or the cities. Not everything is changed, but we have a few added elements like magic in this world, depends on the book as well. Whereas high fantasy is just totally made from scratch. The whole world is built up by the author. You won't find elements from this world. Also, fantasy is divided into types of the readers as well. We have young adult fantasy and we have adult fantasy. So I'm starting with urban fantasy because I feel like these are much easier to delve into as a beginner, and that's what I would recommend. And the first book that I have in this list is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. A standalone which is definitely apt for beginners, a book that I definitely underestimated in the recent times. Why? Because I thought that I have read so many adult fantasy, high fantasy series, and this is not worth my time. I'll just quickly go through it just for the sake of it. But boy, oh boy, was I wrong? Yes. From the first page itself, this is a story which hooks you. It is so gripping, it is so well written. The whole world, the way the story progresses, it just immerses, you just get immersed in this world. The story is about this guy named Richard who's well off. He has a job to himself, he has a girlfriend, and his life is going fine. And one day when he's going to a date with his girlfriend, he finds this girl on footpath who is injured, and he tries to help her against his girlfriend's will. He does so and takes her to his home, and she stays there for a day or two, and once she's gone, that's when the story starts, because then he realized that he is invisible. No one can actually see him, not just see, no one actually knows if he's present or not, even if he tries to speak. Next, I have a young adult series, and I'm sure many of you have already read it. If not, this is the right time for you to pick it up. The Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. This series is not just apt for beginners in fantasy genre, but in general, not just for young teenagers, but adults as well. Because the way it starts, from the first page itself, the way protagonist introduces himself, like, I used to be a normal human kid, just like you guys, but now I have discovered that I'm not a human being but a demigod, and you should be beware of the people around yourself, because they might be demigods, they might be evils, they might be monsters roaming around in your world. And that's just so fascinating, it's so intriguing. The writing is just amazing. It is witty at times. You relate not just with one character, but a lot of other characters as well. It is full of adventure, amazing twists, fast paced, definitely page turning novel. It's just one book that will push you to read. So yeah, highly recommend Percy Jackson series for all you guys out. Next on the list is an Indian fantasy series which I find overrated, and I've already shared my unpopular opinion in one of the videos. You can go check it out. But having said that, I do understand the hype around Shiva Trilogy by Amish Tripathi, which is why I would recommend it to all the beginners out there. Hear me out. Me not enjoying a book does not mean that I wouldn't recommend it to others. Why? Because I was in a different reading phase when I read that book. I enjoy reading high fantasy, which is quite descriptive, but can be intimidating and confusing for beginners out there. However, the whole Shiva Trilogy is fairly easy to read, and the idea behind that book, the whole fictional mythological world that is set, is quite enjoyable to read personally for me as well. So this is set in Meluha, a town which is quite peaceful but lately has been receiving some attacks from Chandravanshis. Now the only way to protect or save this town is to have a hero, and this hero is Shiva, who is a savior, who he has some powers but he does not know that he has powers. This story also deals with a lot of social issues like casteism and racism as well. it has, given a new perspective to mythology. We have technical details, scientific details as well in this story. So this is something that I like, and I believe that it's not worth the hype. It's just an average book. And now let's move on to high fantasy. The first one in this list is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Hands down my favorite fantasy writer. I can read any of his novels and I've enjoyed all his novels. The reason I've said Warbreaker in the first place is because it's a standalone. So delving into high fantasy as a beginner can be quite intimidating. So it's better to start with a standalone, that is a single book which has conclusion. Now Warbreaker is about these two siblings, two sisters who are living in this fictional world known as Idris, and they've been born and raised by a father, single father, and this father has trained the elder daughter, that is Viviana, to marry a god king. But due to some changes in circumstances, he sends the other daughter, that is the younger daughter, who is not been trained, to marry the god king, and that changes the whole story, the whole world. And now I have one of my favorite series of all time, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Again, I like Sanderson's writing. What if the bad guys win? And that's what has happened in this story. The Lord Ruler has won, and people, the good guys, that is Kelsier, win, and other of Kelsier friends get together to bring this Lord Ruler down. And will they be able to bring him down or not is the story. We have Allomancy, we have Scar, that is the normal people, a lot of men, and Mistborns are the people who have all the magic, they draw magic from metals. So yeah, I mean, that's the basis. And the reason I like this particular series is because it introduced me to magic in a different way. That magic is not just magic or imagination. It can be also quite analyzed. It can be analytical. You can actually describe magic and you can learn it. Also, the way the characters evolve in this story, from the first book to the last one, the protagonists, they are powerful, but they're not perfect. And now I have the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. Unpopular opinion, but I enjoyed Shadow of Bone more than Six of Crows. I did not enjoy Six of Crows at all. But the reason I enjoyed Shadow and Bone is because, I don't know, I just connected with the characters. We have Alina Starkov. She's just a normal girl. We have two different worlds in Shadow of Bone trilogy. It has been divided by dark and light. Alina lives in Ravka, and one day she realizes that she has some powers, and to learn more about these powers, she gets the help of Darkling. And all these characters, Darkling, Alina, we have Mal as well. It's just their story. Again, the evolution is something to look out for in this story. It's engaging, the plot line is intriguing, it's full of adventure, there's power, there's magic, a lot of stuff. It's a full package, this whole trilogy. I enjoyed the last book more than the first and the second one, so yeah. And next I have the Children of Blood and Bone series by Tommy Adeyemi. Now this is a series which is a full package. It's all the different elements which are required in a fantasy series, be it magic, mystery, suspense, power, adventure, all of it. Now this is a series which starts in a town in a world where magic has been dying since ages. It used to be there, but now the ruler is suppressing it, the king. The reason is unknown, but he wants the people who use magic to just die. He's killing them, he's suppressing them. But there's our protagonist named Zelie, a girl who wants to bring out magic because she wants to fight against this ruler who has killed his friends, her mother, and who's killing her magic as well. And will she be able to pull out this magic, bring out magic or not, is the story. And next I have two special recommendations for all the teenagers and young girls out there. I was contemplating as to whether I should include these two or not in this video. Then I asked myself a simple question: did I enjoy reading these myself in my teenage years? And the simple answer was hell yes, I did. The first one is the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. I fell in love with this series, the characters, the love triangle. Oh my god, I I felt like I was living these characters. They were my favorite. If you've read the Twilight series, I'm sure you're gonna love this series as well. Coming to the synopsis, it's about this girl named Tessa. It's based in the old London 1878, and she goes underground, under London, where she discovers not just about herself, but a lot about this underground London magical power, vampires, monsters, and a lot of other creatures as well. It's interesting, and if you like reading romance, you'll definitely enjoy this series. The next in the same is the Cruel Prince series. Now this is hands down a series which you'll enjoy if you like reading fairy tales. It's set in fairy tale world. We have this girl named Jude who now I feel like I wouldn't like this character, but then I enjoyed her. I could relate with her, which is why I'm recommending it. She's also has this sibling sister, and when they were young, their parents were killed, and they were transferred to the fairy world with their father, the other father. They are mistreated by the fairy world. They don't have power. They are human beings. A lot of other stuff. Also, of course, there's love story, and there's friendship, and there's magic, and there's adventure, there's mystery, suspense, all of it in this novel again. And last but not the least, I of course have the Harry Potter series. The reason it's at last is because I haven't read it. If you guys follow me for a long while, you know it. But the only reason I'm including it in the list is because I know no fantasy recommendation can be complete without recommending Harry Potter, not only to beginners but to adults and normal people as well. Also, I wanted to avoid this comment in the comment box below that why didn't you include Harry Potter in the list? So yeah, which is why I'm recommending it in this list. I haven't read it, but you should of course do. I know it's a great series. I should even read it. I'm planning to read it very soon. So yeah. And yeah, that's it with this video. I hope you got one book for yourself. It was much a requested video for me, and it took me a long time to make this video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later with another video. Until then.